half awestruck, half terrified, as the huge bear mascot interacted with children nearby, making exaggerated movements and dishing out hugs. "Do you want me to take you over to see him?" I asked, reaching for her hand, enjoying the fact that for once she didn't pull hers away. She shook her head. "I don't think I want to. He's really big, and his eyes are scary." "It's not real, silly," William said, coming to stand at my other side, his fingers encircling mine. He squeezed tightly, waiting for me to look down at him, ensuring he had my full attention before continuing. "It's just a man in a suit, or maybe a woman. Whoever it is, they must be really, really hot." Hannah nodded in agreement as she shifted Ella in the baby carrier. I smiled at my best friend, holding my 3-month-old daughter with all the clumsy ineptitude she'd had with my first two. My breasts twinged, signalling that it would soon be time for another feed, and I glanced at the sleeping face of my baby girl, her head resting against Hannah's overwashed pale pink t-shirt, dribble pooling in a wide circle on the cotton. "I don't think they stay in those suits for more than 10 or 15 minutes, Hannah said, over the top of Ella's head. "Can't have bears collapsing in the park, can they?" she added with a wink. The look on William's face told me he intended to watch and find out for himself. "Come on," John said, hoisting Maisie onto his hip, despite the fact that at 6 she was nearly too big to be carried by her daddy. "Let's just go and have a look from a distance. You don't have to speak to him if you don't want." She nodded bravely, though her little hand snaked over his shoulder and gripped the back of his shirt in a vice-like hold. William looked up at me again. "Come on, Mummy," he said, tugging at my hand. "You go, sweetie. I'll stay here with Auntie Hannah and Ella. We'll go on the ride once you've had a look at the bear." "The man, you mean?" His eyes followed John, but he hesitated. "Go on, William," I said, smiling. "It's only for a second. Go with Daddy." He shuffled his feet, watching John getting further away, then suddenly let go of my hand, rushing after him, his desire to get a closer look at the mascot overriding his need to be constantly by my side. Hannah offered a smile, adjusting Ella's cotton sun hat, shielding her face from the afternoon sun. "There goes your little shadow. Quick, bask in your freedom. It won't last long," she teased. I raised an eyebrow, shaking out my arms. "Ah, the bliss of not having someone permanently attached to you. He's been more intense than ever lately. Can't stand it if Maisie so much as holds my hand. He really gets jealous." She nodded. "Yeah, I noticed. Maisie doesn't seem fazed, though. She wouldn't be, would she? She's in her own world. Today's been the most animated I've seen her in months." I stared after her, going over the same repetitive worries I always drove myself mad with. Maisie was a dreamer, an unusually independent child who never seemed to need or even want my attention or input in her life. Even as a tiny baby, she'd been content in her own company. And though I tried to be there for her, to play or chat or just spend quality time with her, I always felt her pulling away, her desire to get back to her own space, where she could lose herself in books or daydream uninterrupted, creating a chasm between us that I couldn't seem to navigate my way across. But I didn't stop trying. That had to count for something. William, on the other hand, was so dependent on me, I often wondered how he'd ever cope in the future. He needed me by his side every moment of the day, and any effort on my part to put a little distance between us only served to make him more anxious and hold on even tighter. I sometimes wondered if Maisie's independence was an unconscious consequence, a reaction to her brother's neediness. If somehow she instinctively knew she could never compete for my attention in the same way William could, so didn't even try. "I'd love to find more opportunities to bond with her without William hovering over us," I said, sighing heavily as I watched John move closer to the mascot, Maisie bravely slipping out of his hold to peer curiously at the man in the bear suit. I shrugged, not wanting to spoil the day, but needing to voice my fears out loud. There are times when I feel like